And welcome to Sports Done Right. I'm your host, Hunter Wright, flying solo this week. It's been a scandalous week in sports, unfortunately, two big stories. But before we get into those rather heartbreaking stories, I'm just going to give you rapid fire news and then we'll get straight into Phoenix Suns owner Robert Sarver being suspended and Brett Favre caught in a reverse Robin Hood scandal. Then I'll name the offensive and defensive players of the week in the NFL and show you what's new here on the channel. Now, before we get into the NFL news, farewell Federer. Tennis legend Roger Federer made his ATP debut in 1998. Tom Brady was still at Michigan. That's how long ago Federer debuted. He has a singles record of 1,251 and 275, 103 singles titles, and 20 Grand Slam titles. So, congratulations on a illustrious career in tennis, Roger Federer. Now, TJ Watt, he's been placed on IR by the Pittsburgh Steelers. He has a 6-week timetable of return, which is more than we can say for Jamal Adams. He suffered a torn quad and will be out for the remainder of the season. Also out for the season, Trey Lance. He will have to undergo season-ending surgery for his broken ankle. Also in the news with Trey Lance, a video surfaced of him at a strip club, and it was being reported that Trey Lance was spotted at a strip club after the 49ers lost to the Bears in week 1. That is not true. It's not. Yes, there's a video of him at a strip club, but there's no way that he was at the strip club in San Francisco after the Bears game, which was in Chicago. He would have had to get straight on the plane from the stadium, fly into San Francisco, unless the strip club is in the airport, then there's no way he was at the club the night of the game. So it's a false report. Now, if he was at the strip club during the off season, during downtime, as long as it wasn't on 49ers time, he's 22 years old. Are we really holding that against him? 22-year-old kid. As long as he didn't do it on 49ers time, then I think no more needs to be said about that situation. Now, Justin Herbert, diagnosed with fractured cartilage in his ribs. The rib injury was sustained on Thursday Night Football in the game against the Chiefs. He is listed as day-to-day. Now, this might be giving Chargers fans flashbacks to the last time that they had a quarterback suffer a rib injury, Tyrod Taylor. Now, for those of you who don't know, in 2020, Tyrod Taylor was the Chargers' starting quarterback. He was receiving a pain-killing injection for his bruised ribs when the Chargers team doctor, accidentally punctured one of his lungs. He ended up being out for the rest of the year. Justin Herbert stepped in and took command of that offense, took command of that team. Even when Taylor was healthy enough to return, it was over for him in LA. Speaking of Tyrod Taylor, he is now suing the Chargers team doctor for medical malpractice. Hopefully, uh, hopefully he gets what he's looking for, little peace of mind, little retribution, whatever he's trying to get out of this lawsuit. Best wishes to him. Very unfortunate story for all involved. Now, moving on to some happier news. No one getting hurt except for the quarterbacks that have to play against Myles Garrett. He has now reached 61 and a half career sacks, which ranks him third most by a player in his first 70 games of his career. So congratulations to Myles Garrett. He's been an absolute beast ever since day one. Aaron Rodgers becomes the fifth quarterback in NFL history to throw 450 passing touchdowns. Everyone's favorite quarterback right there. Oh, the media loves Rodgers. And I bet they love that he's just reached 450. Or does the media hate Rodgers? I don't know. It's hard to tell these days. Now, Matt Ryan in week one became the 8th quarterback in NFL history to pass for 60,000 yards. That's a huge accomplishment for Matt Ryan. Congratulations. Unfortunately, and you can't make this up, the ball he threw when he reached the milestone was ball number 283. 283. Another reminder of the 28-3 lead that the Falcons held over the Patriots in Super Bowl 51 that they ended up losing the game. They blew a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl. And it seems like Matt Ryan will never outlive this down. He will never outlive this. This is going to be hanging over his head forever. And seriously, the ball was ball number 283. Matt Ryan cannot catch a break. He can't catch a break in week two, anyway. Ryan threw 3 interceptions and had a passer rating of 34 in a shutout loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence, on the other hand, 25 of 30, 235 yards, 2 touchdowns, one of his best games as a pro in his young career. The Jaguars win 24-0, as previously stated. It is their 8th straight home victory over the Indianapolis Colts. As a Jaguars fan, it feels so good to be first in the division. We are the only team in the AFC South with a win so far. Trevor Lawrence looks like he's hitting his stride, and the Colts just can't beat us at home. They can't do it. Now, the Jaguars, Jets, and Lions all win on the same day for the first time since 2011. It's a long time. Speaking of the Lions, Aiden Hutchinson sets a Lions rookie record with 3 sacks and a 36-27 win over the Washington Commanders. Still getting used to that name. The Lions score over 35 points in 3 straight games for the first time since 1952, their championship season with Bobby Lane at quarterback. Yes, the Lions actually were championship contenders a long, long time ago. Not just contenders, they were champions in another lifetime. Now, Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore got into a fight and were both ejected from the Buccaneers-Saints game. Evans has been suspended for 1 game. This is the 3rd or 4th altercation between the 2 division rivals. And Evans' only defense for his actions, and this came after Lattimore was harassing Buccaneers quarterback Tom Brady. Mike Evans' only defense for his actions, what do you want me to do? That's Tom Brady. Yeah, you were also willing to rip Lattimore's head off when he was doing the same thing to Jameis Winston. So I think the moral of the story here is don't talk to Mike Evans' quarterback. Don't touch his quarterback. Don't even look at Mike Evans' quarterback. Now, has anybody seen this man? Kadarius Toney is MIA, missing in action. If anyone knows where he is, please contact Brian Dable and the New York Giants. Also missing, has anyone seen this man, La'el Collins? Now, La'el Collins, when he arrived in Cincinnati, told Joe Burrow, your new bodyguard is in town. Nobody's touching you. That did not last very long. Joe Burrow has been sacked 51 times in 2021 alone, which was most in the league. Now, in 2020, he has already been sacked 13 times in 2 games. 13 times in 2 games, and that's not even counting pressures and hits. That's just full on sacks. Are they trying to get Burrow killed? Like, how do the Bengals have such a huge investment in this generational talent that is Joe Burrow, and they cannot protect him? I don't understand. And we all thought that the Cincinnati offensive line got better during the offseason, but evidently that is not the case. He's been sacked more than anyone in the league through 2 games, 13 times. I mean, at this rate, he's going to be sacked over 100 times. The man has already suffered a torn ACL. He is already missing an appendix. Like at this rate, Joe Burrow is going to be staggering into his contract season, missing an ear, some damaged brain cells. He'll be limping, probably have a foot amputated. He's only going to have one arm because he's just getting destroyed in the pocket in every single game. And it's a shame because Burrow has the potential to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and he can't do that if he's running for his life and being one with the turf. Now, in the Bengals Cowboys game, Dallas jumped out to a 17-3 lead at halftime. Burrow led Cincy back to tie the game 17-17 with 3:45 left in the game. But when they got the ball before the 2-minute warning, they went 3 and out. Devontae Turpin had an excellent return. And then Cooper Rush, the Dallas Cowboys' backup quarterback, leads the offense downfield and sets up a 50-yard field goal by Brett Maher to win the game. I don't know what Cincinnati wants from Burrow. Like he's doing it, he's doing his best. He's leaving it all out on the field. The team needs to rally around him. They need to support him. They need to protect him. But good on Cooper Rush picking up that victory. He's now 2-0 as a starter, I believe, in the NFL. So congratulations to the former Central Michigan quarterback. Now into the more disturbing news. Phoenix Suns owner Robert Sarver. Now, Chris Paul, point guard of the Phoenix Suns, had some words to say about the team owner, in which he stated, like many others, I reviewed the report. I was and am horrified and disappointed by what I read. This conduct, especially towards women, is unacceptable and must never be repeated. I am of the view that the sanctions fell short in truly addressing what we can all agree was atrocious behavior. My heart goes out to all the people that were affected. Now, if you're wondering what those sanctions were, he has been suspended for a year and fined, I believe, $100,000. Now, I'm just wondering if there was something in that report that I missed. Correction. Robert Sarver was fined $10 million, not $100,000. It would be redundant to fine a billionaire $100,000. Anyway, Sarver was suspended for a year and fined because of reports of racism and misogyny in the workplace. Now, after reading the report that came out and reading this article by the Washington Post's Ben Golliver, I do believe some of the things that he has said and done he deserves to be reprimanded for, but I don't think that he is as I don't think this is all as evil and malicious as everyone seems to be making it out to be. I don't know, you can decide for yourself though. The independent investigation, which was initiated after an ESPN article about Sarver's behavior last November and undertaken by the Wachtell, Lipton, Rosen, and Katz law firm, conducted interviews with 320 individuals and reviewed more than 80,000 documents. Its findings were summarized in a 43-page report released last Tuesday that covered Sarver's 18-year ownership tenure. Now, I gotta say, if you interviewed 320 people and 80,000 documents, and what we're about to go over is all you found, then seems like a bit of a witch hunt at that point to me. But investigators concluded that Sarver had repeated or perpetrated to repeat the N word at least 5 times when recounting the statements of others. Now, it is common knowledge that if you are a white person, you cannot say the N word. That's just one of those rules. It's not written down anywhere, it's not a law, but that is just a rule that everyone knows and understands. You can't say it. Some white people still do. Me personally, I don't say the word. I've never said the word. I've never had any intentions of saying the word. I don't like the word, so I just avoid it altogether. But to other people, it's just a word. But to the black community, it is not just a word. It is much more than that. Now, the report also stated that Sarver had made many sex-related comments in the workplace and made inappropriate comments about the physical appearance of female employees and other women. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver stopped short of issuing a lifetime ban on Sarver, a punishment that was doled out to former Los Angeles Clippers owner Donald Sterling, who was caught on tape making racist comments in 2014. Though the report chalked up some of Sarver's behavior to his sophomoric and inappropriate sense of humor and his lack of a filter, it is also noted that he often acted aggressively and in a provocative manner toward employees, that he had made crude sexual references in the workplace on more than 20 occasions, and that more than 50 witnesses recalled incidents in which he yelled at or cursed at employees. Now, sophomoric sense of humor seems to be the best way to describe Robert Sarver in general and his personality. He's just somebody who has no filter. He seems to be a rather immature man-child at times, I would say. He acts like a he acts like a kid in the lunchroom, a middle school kid in the lunchroom. That's the kind of sense of humor he has. A lot of people grow out of that, or at least grow up enough to where they know when not to implement that behavior. But to Robert Sarver, it seems that that's just who he is. He is always that middle school kid in the lunchroom. And this is where it's gotten him. Now, the incidents in which he yelled at and cursed at employees, I mean, people get cursed out by their bosses. It happens. My roommate gets cursed out by his boss almost every single day, and they like each other. Like, it's sometimes that's just like tough love, motivation, being a hard ass. I mean, coaches are cursing out the players on the sidelines in every single game. He's cursing people out in offices. Essentially the same thing. It's not viewed as the same thing, but I believe it's the same intent. Now, the NBA's statement noted that the investigation made no finding that Mr. Sarver's workplace misconduct was motivated by racial or gender-based animus, perhaps explaining why Silver chose suspending Sarver rather than pursuing banishment. Now, if the investigation is straight up saying, hey, we don't think this man is racist, we don't think that he's a misogynist, we think he's just really immature. He's just a really immature guy. But he's still being burned at the stake over everything. Everyone say, oh, he's so full of hate. That's not what the investigation said. Investigation very clearly says the opposite. He's just find the things that he's done. He finds it funny, and it's not funny to everyone else. But it's not. He's not doing it to be an asshole. He's not a hateful person by nature. Now, according to witnesses, Sarver used the N word while recruiting a free agent in 2004. Yeah, that's wrong. During a team building exercise in 2012 or 2013. Also wrong. And after an October 2016 game against the Golden State Warriors. All three of those, wrong. And wrong on Sarver's part. I'm not saying that the report is wrong. He's in the wrong for doing that. You can't say the N word as a white man or white person in general. You can't say it. Now, additionally, Sarver used the slur twice while retelling a story about what a player's family member had said while boarding the team's plane. According to witnesses, Sarver quoted the family member as saying, "White folks in the front, N words in the back." Yeah, if a white person had said that on his own accord, every other white person in the area is just going like this. And we're taking a few steps back because we don't want to get caught in the crossfire. Now, retelling a story, you're quoting somebody. He is busted for saying the N word while quoting somebody. Now, he said it 3 other times on his own accord, as we just went over. But, like, is it all that bad if you're quoting somebody? I mean, I still get it. You shouldn't say it, and you could just, like I did, and like the report here says, just refer to it as the N word. You don't have to actually say it. But if you're quoting someone, you're saying what someone else said. I mean, I hear white people quote rap songs all the time where that word's just getting thrown around left and right. Part of the song, it's part of the quote. They're not actually saying it. They're not saying it. They're not calling anybody that. So I don't feel like that's as bad as just straight up saying it. Is it still wrong? Not really up for me to decide. But I feel like that's like half an infraction. Like if you're quoting someone else and you say it, I feel like that's half an infraction. Now, according to a coach, a second witness, and 2 people who heard contemporary contemporaneous reports of the incident, Sarver burst into the coach's office and asked why it was okay for the Warriors player to use that word, and then asked why he couldn't use the word himself. Because you're white. That's it. That is the only reason. You can't say it because you're white. White people cannot say this word. That's a, for some people, the rules are different. If it's an ER or an A, I feel like you just don't say the word altogether. Like I said, I can only control me. I don't say it. Some white people, this is an actual question they have. Like, well, why can't I say it? If black people say the word all the time, why can't I say it? Like, what's the big deal? How is that fair? These are questions that some people actually have. Well, I don't make the rules. Take it up with whoever it was that decided that black people are the only ones that can say the N word. Take it up with them, or just ask a black person why you can't say it. I'd like to see how that goes for you. You just can't say it. It's like it's like saying curse words on TV. It's like saying fuck or shit on TV. You can't say it. It'll change the ratings. Like if you're on a PG-13 show, you can't say fuck or shit. For a white person, you can't say the N-word. Now, investigations also explored the possibility of racial motivations behind former Suns coach Earl Watson's 2017 firing. Watson, who is black, was represented by Clutch Sports, which was founded by Rich Paul, who is also black, in the run-up to the 2017-18 season. The report stated that Sarver and Paul were involved in a contentious negotiation concerning Eric Bledsoe, a player who was black, and that Sarver felt that Paul's representation of Watson and the player represented a conflict of interest. Now, Sarver confirmed that he threatened to fire Watson if he didn't leave Clutch Sports. Watson stayed with the representation and was fired 3 games into the 2017-2018 season. However, the owner maintained that the dispute with Watson didn't have anything to do with race. Now, if it didn't have anything to do with race, and I believe it's a conflict of interest concern. That sounds like a legitimate concern, a conflict of interest. So I believe that that was not a racially motivated move. Now, the investigation does not find that Sarver opposed the coach's continued representation by the agency because its founder is black or fired the coach for that reason. So if you're even agreeing that this had nothing to do with white and black, why is this even being brought up? Like, why is this in the conversation? Now, Sarver told a pregnant employee that she must stop working on an assignment because her baby needs their mom, not their father. I don't really see the misogyny in that statement. He's saying the baby needs its mother, not its father. I mean, if anything, that kind of just implies that men aren't fit to take care of babies. But no, it's just mothers have that motherly instinct that they are naturally better at taking care of children than men are. Like as men, we really only get concerned when the child is in imminent danger. We're only really concerned when the child's in imminent danger. The mother is concerned all the time about everything. Mothers and babies have this special bond. It's different than the relationship between a father and a baby. It's just different. That's just how it is. It's one of those things that you can't really explain, but you know it's true. I think that's what Sarver was getting at. I don't think that what he said had anything to do with, oh, you're the mother, you're a woman, it's your job to take care of the baby. That's not the father's job, that's your job because you're a woman. I don't think that is at all what the man was saying. Now, in another instance, he asked a female employee if she had gotten breast implants. That's inappropriate. Now, I'm curious as to the context, though. Now, it's inappropriate either way. But was she already like that before he met her? Or did he see her one week and then she showed up to work the next week noticeably different? It's still inappropriate, but I'm just curious. What's the context there? Now, in a third instance, he berated a female employee for her performance in 2011, objected when she started crying, and subsequently held a lunch for 4 female employees that was perceived by attendees as a means to toughen them up. I mean, I've seen girls get yelled at work and start crying. And yeah, we object when they start crying. We're not trying to make you cry. We're pointing out things that need to be done better at work. No one's trying to make you cry. I don't really see the issue in that. Again, more context would probably be helpful here. Like, what was he saying when he was berating her? Was he saying if your hormones weren't flaring up all the time, you'd have done better? What was he saying? Not long after Sarver purchased the Suns in 2004, Sarver came across a female employee as he got ready to take a shower in the team's facilities. "You've never seen anything this big," Sarver told the employee, according to the report. I'm not even going to. I'm not even going to try to defend that. That is blatantly wrong. That is blatantly inappropriate. I don't even know what you say to that. You should know better. Investigators also found that he had emailed pornography to a small group of male Suns employees and made comments about the appearance of the Suns female dance team members. Now, emailing porn in the workplace is not an unheard of thing. It's wrong. You should not do that. We have heard of other people doing that. Sometimes it's done just for fun. It's funny. Some people find it funny. I don't find if my boss emailed me porn, I would not know how to react to that. But some people they do it because they think it's funny. They find something gross and kinky and send it, and they just want to invoke a reaction. Now, making comments about the Phoenix Suns female dance team members, every man with a pulse, okay, every straight man with a pulse comments about the appearance of the cheerleaders. If that's misogynistic, then we are all misogynistic. We have all stared and gawked and commented and made little sly, snide comments about the way cheerleaders look. We've all done that. Every single one of us. I don't see, again, context. What exactly was he saying? What exactly did he say about the cheerleaders? Because we all talk about the cheerleaders. I don't see anything wrong with that. Now, while receiving a fitness check from a male employee, Sarver unnecessarily dropped his underwear while the employee was kneeling in front of him. I mean, if the fitness check is anything like a physical, I've had a physical before, and dropping your underwear is part of the deal. Like, are we sure he was just trying to flash the person giving him the physical? Or did he just assume that whatever they were about to do next was the okay, drop your pants, cough? That what he was anticipating? I don't know. Sarver also danced pelvis to pelvis with a male employee at a holiday party and asked at least one player on the 2009-10 team about personal grooming habits. And in an incident previously reported by ESPN, Sarver pulled down a male employee's pants in front of coworkers during a 2014 charity event. Now, dancing pelvis to pelvis with a male employee at a holiday party sounds like the kind of antics that would happen at a holiday party. Asking a player about grooming habits. I've been asked about grooming habits. Yeah, sure. When you're not expecting to be asked about grooming habits, that's a bit uncomfortable. But I don't see anything inherently wrong with the question itself. Like, men have asked other men about manscaping and stuff like that. It's locker talk. It happens. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, pulling down a male employee's pants in front of coworkers at a charity event, you pants the guy. Again, Sarver is just that little middle school boy in the lunchroom that never actually grew up. That middle school boy, that kid is going to walk up to someone in the lunch line and pants them in front of the entire cafeteria. That's what he's going to do. He's immature. Sarver is just acting like a man child. He pants the guy. He thought it would be funny. It's a charity event. Probably thought it was all in good fun. Yeah, sure. The guy that got pants didn't want to be pantsed. He didn't think it was funny. I don't think that there is anything there that is incriminating, at least in the pantsing incident. There was other incriminating stuff in what we read, but the pantsing incident feels like something that you should know better. Don't do that again. The report concluded that these episodes of Sarver's physical behavior with male employees were made not with an intent to make a sexual advance toward anyone, but with an intent to provocate, an intent to be provocative and/or an attempt at humor. Yeah, that sounds about right. Now, the three instances in which he said the N word on his own accord, you want to drag his name through the mud for that. That I'm not going to oppose that, but the incidents with the guys, the pantsing, the inappropriate jokes, I don't feel like that really warrants a year-long suspension and $10 million fine. The instances of supposed misogyny, I mean, talking about your junk to a female employee sounds like the worst thing he did. And I don't think the man is misogynistic. I don't think the man is racist. I think he just has no filter and doesn't like being told what he can and can't do. Now, as of me recording this, it was just announced that Robert Sarver has begun the process of selling the Phoenix Suns and the WNBA's Mercury, which he also owns. Well, not for long anyway. Now, on to Brett Favre, everyone's favorite gunslinger. One man-child onto another man-child. Now, Favre was caught in a reverse Robin Hood scandal in which he used MDHS welfare funds to build a volleyball stadium for his daughter's school, USM, University of Southern Mississippi. Now, this is a very heartbreaking story that has been brought to light. I don't know why this happened. I mean, where's all your NFL money, Brett? Where's all that Wrangler money? All the Wrangler money. The Wrangler money couldn't have built that stadium? You stole money from the poor, homeless, starving, needy people, the poorest people in the United States, the poor of Mississippi. You took money from them to build a volleyball stadium for your daughter's school. Now, Flemlo Raps made a very in-depth video about the whole ordeal. If you want to know more, I'll leave a link to his video, in the description of this one. I'm just going to go ahead and move on to our offensive and defensive players of the week. Now, It was such a big week, such a great week of games, such amazing performances in the NFL this week that while I am only crowning one Offensive Player of the Week, we're going to do some honorable mentions here. So, an honorable mention for Offensive Player of the Week is Los Angeles Chargers wide receiver Mike Williams. Now, Mike Williams got a lot of extra targets with Keenan Allen being ruled out due to injury. He had 8 catches, 113 yards, and a touchdown. He balled out against the Chiefs. Unfortunately, the Chargers did come up short in that game. Our next honorable mention is New York Jets rookie receiver Garrett Wilson. Now, Garrett Wilson caught 8 passes for 102 yards. The Jets trailed 30-17 against the Cleveland Browns with under 2 minutes left in the game. But Flacco turned the clock back to 2012, Joe Flacco, and he scored a touchdown. Jacoby Brissett threw an interception. Flacco with another touchdown to win the game, 31-30. The Jets with an improbable comeback victory over the Browns, which would be kind of the story of this week, the comebacks, the great games, the nail-biting moments. Our next honorable mention is on the Cleveland Browns, Nick Chubb. Now, while the Browns may have come up short, Chubb gets an edge over Garrett Wilson for the part he played. Nick Chubb, 17 carries, 87 yards, 3 touchdowns. He caught 3 passes for 26 yards. And his 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns set up the 30-17 lead that Joe Flacco would inevitably pick apart. Unfortunately, like I said, the Browns came up short against the Jets, and Chubb comes up short in Offensive Player of the Week honors. Now, our next honorable mention, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Detroit Lions receiver. 9 catches, 116 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He also ran the ball twice for 68 yards, including a 58-yard run. So just an all-out beast, just a unit for that offense. Now, Amon-Ra St. Brown has tied Michael Thomas and Antonio Brown for the most consecutive games with 8+ catches. 8 straight games. 8 straight games of 8 or more catches. If he can do it again next week, then he will own the record. And Michael Thomas and Antonio Brown, it's some pretty good company to be in. Well, from an on-field standpoint, not from a state of mind. You don't want to be in their company when it comes to talking about health, whether it's Antonio Brown's mental health or Michael Thomas's physical health. But from on-field production, that is some elite company for Amon-Ra St. Brown. And our last honorable mention is Baltimore Ravens revolutionary quarterback, Lamar Jackson. Now, Lamar Jackson completed 21 of 29 passes, 318 yards, 3 touchdowns. He ran the ball 9 times for 119 yards and a touchdown. The rest of the Ravens offense had a combined 36 rushing yards. He alone rushed for 119. Unfortunately, he still came up short to our Offensive Player of the Week, Tua Tagovailoa. Now, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle also balled out, but we're giving it to Tua. Tua, with a passer rating of 124.1, completing 36 of 50 passes, 469 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. And he scored 4 of those 6 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Now, Tua led an improbable comeback of his own. Baltimore led 35-14. Tua hit River Craycraft for a touchdown. Tua hit Tyreek Hill for a touchdown. Tua hit Tyreek Hill again for a touchdown. Justin Tucker booted a field goal, and then with 14 seconds left in the game, Tua hit Jalen Waddle for his 6th touchdown of the game winner, and the Miami Dolphins pull off a 42-38 victory after being down 35-14. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle become the first pair of teammates in NFL history to each record 10 catches, 150 yards, and 2 touchdowns apiece in the same game. Hats off to the entire Miami offense. And now our defensive player of the week is Jalen Watson. The young Chiefs DB recorded 4 tackles, and his 99-yard pick six secured the Chiefs' victory over the Los Angeles Chargers on Thursday night. Now, this award could have gone to Aiden Hutchinson for his 3 sacks, but the 99-yard pick six was just too big a moment, too key a contribution. It won them the game, and it won Watson Defensive Player of the Week honors. Now, for anyone who hasn't seen it, I conducted an interview with former Florida Gator player Gideon Ajagbe. That interview is available on the channel. We talk about a lot of things such as Deion Sanders, Billy Napier, Anthony Richardson, life as a college athlete, NIL deals, and what happens when the road that you've traveled as an athlete comes to an end, when you don't make it to the NFL and you have to move on from sports. What is that transition like? What is that life shift like? That paradigm shift? How do you go through it? Gideon was great. He provided a ton of insight. Very kind, intelligent individual. And he has a lot of great stories to tell from his time as a Florida Gator and a football player. So the link to that video will be in the description of this one as well. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. If you don't want to share, that's fine, but if you could hit the like button, that does help out the channel a lot, as does subscribing to the channel. And I'll see you next week.